What's going on, R2R fam, Road to Results? Welcome to the podcast. So we have a very special episode for y'all. Very special episode. As you can see behind us, we are out here in beautiful Cancun, Mexico for the Phenomenal Life 2023 conference. And so aside from our normal podcast recording, which you won't see, we actually had the opportunity to do some interviews with some amazing folks from the ETA community. So stay tuned, buckle up. What you're about to hear, the people you are about to see if you're watching this on video, are people who are near and dear to us and who are also part of our road to getting the results.
Yep. Hey, these are the individuals that we talk about. These are the ones that we're getting coached through as we document this coaching journey. These are we're physically interviewing them, and they wanted to do it for y'all because we told them this is what we're doing. We're documenting this. We're giving it to a community, and they wanted to do it. And these individuals' time is very valuable. When I say very valuable, if you put a price tag on how much they charge an hour, and they were giving it freely. So enjoy it. Again, don't get hype on it. If you want to celebrate us, drop in the comments, subscribe, share. But
drop your takeaways in the comments.
Yeah,
for sure,
but drop the takeaways in there. Take the nuggets and apply them. If you got questions on how to apply them, same thing. Drop in the comments. If you know us personally, hit us up.
That's it.
But other than that, hey, definitely enjoy it. Definitely enjoy it. It was a blessing for us to be able to do it.
Oh, come on.
It's a blessing for us to be able to do it, not just in person, but in person and in Mexico at an all-inclusive resort.
Let's go.
With my brother.
Come on.
With my brother.
Bam, hey, like I said, a year ago, if you would have told us we'd be doing this, not just being together, doing the pod together, being in the mastermind together, and having all the opportunities to be in close contact with people. Enjoy the videos, y'all. Let us know if you have any questions or comments in the description below. And thank y'all. Just thank y'all for being with us. Remember to subscribe, like, and share. But most importantly, don't just go with us, y'all.
Grow with us.
Peace.
Peace.
We have another very special guest for you for this bonus episode of the Road to Results podcast. And now this man right here, sitting to my right, your left, depending on how you're looking at the screen, is a huge part of not just ETA, but especially the UOU mastermind. So Brandon, if you could just share just a quick little tidbit of who you are and what you do with ETA, and you know, and if you want to know the backstory, we'll make sure you get the link to that, because I know we have some ways for you to connect with them. But just generally speaking, what is kind of your role at ETA and with the mastermind?
Yeah, I always say I'm the day-to-day right hand. So CJ's the original right hand. CJ's the OG. I kind of take over the day-to-day stuff now. So ET's booking agent, do business development with Extreme Execution, help build that program out. And of course with the mastermind, helping to put that all together and just run the day-to-day operations for the mastermind. So pretty much every major project over the last couple of years, I've been involved in some way, shape, or form. So it's a lot, but it's something different every day. So I absolutely love it.
That's awesome. So what I like with the UOU Mastermind is yesterday you were talking about while you're on stage, doing backflips on stage. One of the things you mentioned was God didn't bring me this far. To bring me this far. And one of the things of the UOU Mastermind, obviously as we document this, being here, being in proximity.
Yeah.
What has that done for you, just being in proximity? Because you said you had that moment where everything just kind of died down, and you just heard it so clear, like I didn't bring you here to be right here.
Just to be here. That's right. That's right. Man, a lot of people don't know this, but a lot of the trips that I go on, it's not like it's just paid for by the company. You know, like ETA, I mean, we probably have, 12 or 15 full-time employees. So it's not a big Fortune 500 company where it's like, oh, we got a big retreat. We're going to put everybody on a plane and fly the whole 300 employees out here. It's not like that. So a lot of the events that you guys see me at, I actually paid my own way to get there. You know, I pay for the own gas, put in the car, drive 8, 9, 10 hours to go get wherever we need to go. And I still do that to this day, even though I talk to ET on the phone literally every single day. I don't think there's been one day that's gone by that I haven't spoken with E in the past year, right? And like I said on stage, I've got access now, and it's a blessing and a privilege based on what I've been able to do with the company, that I can pick up the phone and call CJ at any time, or ET at any time, or any of these other people. But there's a different power of proximity. You said it, when you're in the room, when you're right there with them. And for me, I just realized that even though it might be an inconvenience or an expense to get around those individuals on a more consistent basis, because I could just sit back and say, okay, I'm only going to go on the trips that you fly me out for. that you need me for, right? That you're going to pay for. But I'm always trying to get around those guys because they literally give me a return on investment. Like whatever that cost is of time or money, I get a return on that investment. And so I've noticed that, yes, the financial return is definitely there. I remember, you're going to love this. I was in Columbus, Ohio one time. It was me, E.T., Anthony Flynn, and a former, I won't say his name, former Ohio State quarterback, a couple other like pretty big names in there. And we were sitting there having lunch. This was right after one of E.T.'s speaking engagements at OSU. And we just go around the table. People are talking. E.T. says, I got this book coming out. This is over a year ago. I got this book coming out. I'm going to up my speaking fee to $200,000 an hour. As soon as the book comes out, I hit the New York Times bestseller list. Anthony Flynn goes next. He says, yep, we actually just finished raising $50 million for a church plant that we're doing, for a church seed. Next guy goes, the old quarterback. He said, yep, we just raised $2 million to start a school outside of Columbus. And everybody goes around the room there, and I'm sitting there at 24 years old at the time thinking, you know, 6 figures, I'm successful, I made it. And it pushes me to go further. So the power of proximity is not just being close to them, it's being close to them and seeing them actualize what's inside of them. It's watching them live it out. And it pushes me to go further. And then there's the ROI tangibly with the numbers. You also get an ROI on the person that you become. I've told so many people that if ET had taught me what he's taught me financially, but didn't teach me what he's taught me spiritually and relationally, I would have lost it all. So being around him, watching the way that he treats Dee Dee, that's not something that you can see from a YouTube video. Being around the story that I told on stage the other day of him at Oakwood and being around those people, you don't get to feel that and see that when you're just watching from afar. So that power of proximity, I heard somebody say not too long ago that exemplification is the best form of articulation. Meaning saying it is great, but seeing it is completely different.
Hey, y'all are getting nuggets. And let me just say, what struck me was you said return on investment on yourself and who you become. And we said this on yesterday. Ray and I were talking about, yes, we made a financial investment, but it's not just, it doesn't stop there. It starts with investing in your time, investing in the relationships. Like last year, I was sharing, Danielle and I were here. We were here, but we weren't here. If you're in the community, be in the community. And you know, you see me on all the Zooms these past years since Game Changers, and I'm there, but I'm not necessarily asking questions or giving, feedback or thoughts, whether it was extreme execution, game changers. And so finally I said, no, this year, because of the UOU mastermind, it was like, speak up, share what you got, stop being stingy. He's been giving us so much for free. And like I said in one of the previous videos, like I'm not eating for free like that anymore. It's time to not pay back, but like it's time to really take it to the next level. And so one thing that you said during one of the summits that really struck me the most was when you said, who would you rather have in your corner? When it comes to really pushing you and getting you to the next level. And it was really just a testimony of how much having E in your corner has helped you become the man you are today and the man you're becoming. So can you speak to, again, just our audience, again, documenting the UOU mastermind? We literally have E in our corner every day on different levels, like you said, spiritual, business, relationship, and so much more. So can you just maybe speak on that just a little bit for our audience?
Man, there's a power to being around somebody every single day like that. You know, it's like we said a second ago, it's one thing to observe it from a distance. It's another thing when you've got somebody that you respect, that you hold in high esteem, that's holding you accountable, right? And let's just be honest. If you join some community from some Instagram influencer that you've never heard of until a week ago, until you saw their ad and it's $40 a month or $27 a month or whatever it is, you might show up or you might not. When you invest and it's around somebody that you really look up to like that, you're gonna hold up, you're a part of the deal, right? And I think for me, that's something that has been so powerful is he's giving me the character development, the spiritual development, the relational development, and I know that I don't want to let him down. Something that I used to tell people all the time when I was doing gymnastics at Michigan was when we had those 6 a.m. lifts, I promise I would let me down. Like I was willing to let myself down. I wouldn't show up if it was up to me. I'd be like, you know what? It's fine. I'm not worried about it. But it was the coaches and the teammates that I wasn't willing to let down. And I think a lot of people try and be a tough guy. And it's like, I'm going to hold myself accountable. I'm going to be the guy. I'm going to keep my word to me. And it's a great mentality, but let's be practical. A lot of times we need those other outside sources of accountability. And so when you're around somebody every single day like that, your level of investment automatically goes up, and so do your results.
That talk. Talk that talk.
I'm gonna bring this back into the conference. The frequency
Come on. My.
of being around a higher frequency.
Yeah.
My.
How old are you?
25.
My.
Don't miss that. Don't miss
Drop
that.
the mic right there.
I don't care what age you are. I don't care what financial position you're in. There's an intentional effort behind getting around people that are just operating on a different level, a level that we don't understand, and we don't get there until we're in proximity.
Right.
And I've seen you on videos and stuff, but it wasn't until like the business accelerator
Come on.
and hearing your level of conversation, and then jumping in, following you on socials, like the frequency at which you communicate. That's a bit. Consume the free stuff and apply it, because you need to get in the room, but you need to be able to receive that level of conversation.
Yeah.
And you've mentioned it, that you were having struggles literally just introducing yourself at school.
That's facts. That's facts. But not that long ago either. That's like 3 years ago.
and I love it. And it's like I'm 38, right?
Oh, come on.
No.
Man, I'm 42.
We're
I'm 42.
Brandon's 25, and it's like
30s and 40s,
at a
baby.
certain
Man, I
point-
hope I look like these guys on that age. I hope I do. I hope I still got it like that.
get around the community. That's how you decrease your stress, because you're
you
increasing
go.
your productivity,
Yeah.
your different results.
Yeah.
But I want y'all to see, like, I only came across ETA at the end of 2019.
Okay.
So people are like, "Oh, you've been killing it." Like, no, I just literally, I saw it. Like you said, I saw it in the videos, but then I got in the room last year.
Yeah.
That's where Ryan and I met, and I just like, this has to happen.
Yeah.
This has to happen, or this has to happen. And when the UOU Mastermind came up and you were doing your pitch, I was like, Brandon, hurry up. I know what you're doing.
Where do I sign up?
Let me in. Just let me in
Yo,
already.
we let it go, because we did, like, and he was dragging us on. He was like, and then we were talking about the conference, and you'll also get, we were like, we were dropping in the chat, like, let's go.
But what y'all are seeing is literally the result.
That's it.
In the application, and then being in the community and being in proximity.
That's it.
And yes, ET is that. He is the face. He is the energy behind it. But being around you, being able to talk to you,
Blessings.
it's truly a blessing, because you see, I'm on the. It's confirmation that seeing the growth in you. We talked to Carly, and I was like, that's the biggest thing that from when you were talking before, where you are now. Like, that's just confirmation that I'm in the right space, that I'm around the right people, that I'm in the right community, I am with the right path. But how do we talk to us and us connecting with someone that was in your position?
Yeah.
Because that's what it is. We want to impact. We're not trying to impress anybody. We want to impact. So we're talking about making the investment. It's the emotional investment. It's the energy investment. It's I'm going to travel to be around them.
Yep.
How do we... Someone that's at an earlier stage, Ryan works with youth. I work with you. Just need me to tell you what to do. But what was it that triggered you? I know you like the demonstration, but like, what is that thing that if you can iron a moment, if you can figure out that piece, what is that? So when we tell people you have to do this summit, you have to be in the mastermind group, bro. They only got 20 seats here, 40, whatever's their income. Like, you have to be. Like, I couldn't wait. I was like, I know what this means. Hurry up, Brandon. Where is my QR code website? Where is it? But because I understand how important it is, because of where I saw myself just a few years ago. So now it's since then, you're like 25, but where were you a few years ago? To where now, like that one thing, if there is, or just a cumulative of something that you just.
So you're saying, like, what was it that made me know that I had to get involved?
Yes, know that you had to progress as an individual. So that you can be in proximity, so that you can be someone that someone wanted to be in proximity. And I'll just leave it. There's a moment where your presence alone becomes impact. And I think if someone's heard you speak, knows your age, let me just get around Brandon. I don't want to get around him again to take the pictures, but there's something.
Yeah. For me, man, it was there's a couple of things, right? If we go all the way back, I never knew that I wanted to be a speaker. I never, as a matter of fact, speaking was the last thing that I ever wanted to do, right? And we briefly touched on it, but for those who might not know the story, man, when I say introverted, literally, like, I don't think I ordered off of a menu on my own without like playing telephone with my mom, say, hey, I want this. Can you tell the waiter? Because I was so scared of just talking to people, right? I probably didn't do that until I was 15, 16 years old. And like you said, even in college, when I was 22 years old, fifth year senior at Michigan, even getting up in front of people and saying, hey, I'm Brandon, I'm studying economics and psychology, that would literally give me panic attacks. So speaking and coaching and doing all the things that I do now was never anything that I saw from a visionary standpoint. That was nothing that I ever saw. I always knew the business stuff. I was like, let me be behind the scenes. I'll be a business guy, but I never wanted to be on stage or anything like that. And when I was 16 years old, I was working at this gymnastics camp. And at the end of every day, they did what was called cabin checks. If you go to my YouTube channel to this day, it's still cabin checks. Every Wednesday I post one. And it's where the coaches would go in and just speak to the kids on some stuff completely unrelated to athletics. And it was our chance to inspire them or give them some advice or just speak to them and connect with them as people instead of, you know, as athletes and coaches. And even back then, I wasn't super comfortable with doing it, but I knew that I was always passionate about helping develop people. That's why I like to coach gymnastics. I like helping people develop to their full potential, and whatever it is, whether it's, you know, gymnastics, whether it's what I do now with more, you know, the business stuff, whatever. And I went in there and I had just recently listened to an ET video. It was one of the old TGIMs that he did at Michigan State. And he was telling a story about how a student came to him and said he was overwhelmed and he was struggling. And ET said, keep struggling. You guys remember that one?
Right.
Yeah, it was an old TGIM. And so I literally told that story from, it's not even third person, it's like fifth person. As I was telling the story, I said, I found this guy on YouTube and he told a story about this guy, right? And it was just the most Walmart brand rendition of a motivational speech. I mean, it was like 4 minutes long. It was absolutely terrible. Yeah, right. Good value. Good value. They got it for free. So, you know, and, you know, walked out of there that night, didn't think anything of it. 2 days later, the 16-year-old kid, I'm 16 at the time. The 16-year-old kid walks up to me and he hands me a letter. And he said, for the last 9 months, I've been thinking about committing suicide. And that's something that I had gone through when I was 14, 15 years old as well. So pretty recently, I had just gotten through that. And I have a history of that in my family as well. So that was something that really cut deep with me. And I wasn't even spiritual at that time. Like I was, you know, raised in the church and everything, but I didn't believe for real like that. But I was like, okay, God, I feel like if that right there, like I can die now. Like that was worth being alive. That was worth me being here and taking up space. That was worth it. And I was like, I need to find a way to dedicate my life to doing more of that. Whatever that is. I didn't even know what it was. I didn't know you could get paid to speak. I didn't know you could, like, none of that. I didn't know any of this was even a industry, right? But that was the moment where I knew that I got to get more into this and I got to develop the confidence. I got to learn how to speak. I got to learn how to articulate myself. I've got to learn how to walk and carry that, right? And then you fast forward to when I was 20, 21 and I'm in college and I start really following ET. And then it was just on some observational stuff. Like people think I planned this whole thing out. When I tell them my whole story about how I got involved with ET, they think that it was some master plan from day one. Literally, the only thing that I knew was that I saw this one guy who was doing things in a way that seemed healthy, that seemed whole. And then what got me was I looked at everybody else around him and I said, okay, everywhere this guy goes, success follows. And I was just like confused because I'd never seen that before. But I'm like, okay, Jamal, Alex Good Energy, Jeremy Anderson, CJ, Neo, Inky, Circle C. I'm like, okay. Moose, Nikki. I said, okay.
Brandon.
I'm like, something's going on around here where I don't know what this is, but I got to get around this and figure it out. And that was, I think between those two moments, it just led to a commitment where, again, I didn't know what it was, but I knew I needed to be close.
That's beautiful. And I will say, like Danielle and I, after you gave your testimony yesterday morning, and then after you gave your talk, Danielle was like, he's good. Danielle was like, wow. She was very not impressed, like in like a performing kind of way, but she's just like, he's so natural. He speaks so clear. You can feel his message, his heart. And I was like,
thank you.
I was like, yeah. And then when I saw you, I was like, oh, he really going in. So I guess for us, right, uncovering the mindset journey is
Yeah.
the tagline of this podcast. And so I think what question came up for me that Ray was sharing was when we think about people in their 20s and we think about the mindset, like what would be your best advice for someone who is in that gap or who is on that lower frequency? Again, not even necessarily for the mastermind or joining something in that big, which would be great, I think. But like, what would you say would be your piece of advice for people who are in a rut, they're stuck, and again, we know mindset is key to this. So, what would you say for all of our younger listeners, younger audience out there that maybe aren't there yet to take the big steps, like the UOU mastermind, and just to get them there? What would be your practical advice for them?
So, okay, here's where I gotta give you a disclaimer. I've never called myself a motivational speaker. All right, I'm a coach, so I hurt people's feelings sometimes. Stop disrespecting what God gave you. That's the number one thing, right? Because when I was in college and I was 20, 21, I was forced into taking my future seriously based on the circumstances I grew up in. I knew that my parents don't have a retirement, but I'm the retirement plan. And we joke around about that every once in a while, like, yeah, you better pull this thing off because you're our retirement plan. And it's funny until it's not, because there is no 401k. That's the retirement plan. My dad's had cancer twice. He can't keep working that much longer. I got to do something about that, right? So for me, circumstances dictated, I got to figure out something here to figure out a way to be successful. Now, most people are not, and it's a blessing, right? It's a good thing. So you shouldn't feel guilty about not being in a situation or a circumstance like that. But if you're not, then you have to create your own drive. You have to create your own ambition. And for me, what I had to figure out was the have to, need to motivation has some negative energy that comes along with it. And what I switched it to was God gave me the capability and the capacity to live a life that's up here, and I'm only down here right now. And that gap really is upsetting to me. And that gap is a disrespect to what God made you capable of. And that gap should not be acceptable to you in your life. And I don't understand the mindset of people. Like, this is why I was so passionate about it when I was in school. I would be on that gymnastics team, and I'd fought my entire life to try and get to a position like that, to compete for a team like that. And all of a sudden I see everybody going out and drinking and partying Thursday, Friday, Saturday, sometimes Tuesday. And I'm like, what are you doing? Right? Because you could be this good, and you have accepted and made peace with the fact that you only want to be this good. That doesn't make sense to me. And so I would figure out, what is it that is making you accept living a life that's less than you're capable of? And then once you figure that out, attack it. Because I promise you, the price of regret is so much higher than the price of any mastermind, of any investment, of any work that you've ever done. Because at the end of the day, like I've watched people, okay, I don't want to go there. Life is not as long as you think it is. Like when you're in your 20s, you really think that you have forever. You don't. And the decisions that you make when you're 17, 18, 19 years old, that's going to affect how you live. I live the way that I live now because of decisions that I made when I was 17, 18, right? So whatever age you are now, and it goes the other way too. A lot of people think, okay, I'm 45, I'm 50 years old, so therefore I can't make a change, right? So no matter what age you are, the decision you make today determines how you live tomorrow. And I would advise that you take it seriously.
Come on, y'all. Hey, if y'all are not getting the gems from this, and let us know in the comments, what are your takeaways from this special episode for y'all? And I think that's really important, right? Don't disrespect what God gave you. Like, have that sense of urgency. And we always say, like, have urgency, but don't rush.
Yeah.
Right. And there's a big difference. And a lot of people are rushing, right? But be urgent, but just don't rush, because then that's when we make mistakes.
Right. That's
it. And as you see, there is so much more that we could talk about, but we want to definitely just end on the note of being thankful for having you here with us today. Not only is he E's right-hand man with the UOU Mastermind, Extreme Execution Coach. We didn't even bring that up, and that's a whole nother another bag of gems.
We go 2 hours on that alone.
We'll go on that 2 hours alone. But yeah, just that level of exposure, believing in yourself. Right? Any final thoughts?
I have to. Come on. He said he's not a motivational speaker. He's a coach, and he loves hurting people's feelings. And he said he might.
It just happens sometimes.
In my head, I heard I love. And the
pilot coming out just a little bit. Just a little bit.
The biggest part of it is, CJ said it. I think everybody's kind of said it in a different way. No one cares.
Yeah.
You're listening to Brandon's story, and it's just pieces of it. Suicidal ideations, the pressures of this has to work or this has to work. making the financial investment, the time, committing to something that you were fully clear on because you've never seen it around you in ETA. Everybody has their struggles. Everybody has their excuses. Everybody has their reasons. Success doesn't shield you from life's crap, but it is a decision. So whatever you have going on in your life, I believe you, but you're not that special. We've all had our own tragedies. We've all had our own struggles. And it doesn't change just because you get in proximity. But when you're in proximity of people that are on that higher level, you've got a community that supports you. You've got people that can help you navigate those things, that can uplift you and let you know that, hey, this is a test of your faith.
Yep.
And it's a test of your faith that you endure. We get in endurance. Put yourself in miracle territory. That's not my line. It's not Brandon's line. It's not Bro Rye's line. That's in the UOU book, so we're with that too. But part of that is that no one owes you anything. It's stop looking into stuff so deep that you miss the instruction. You owe you.
Yeah.
Well, what does that mean? No one owes you anything, but you owe you everything. And that's why I tell my coaching clients, if you want to give more, you have to become more. It's the process of becoming that we can now provide, that we can be an impact in others, that we can give to others.
That's it.
Because you say you just kept giving.
That's
It's
it.
not what I felt like. Giving, it shall be given unto you. And if I keep giving, it's going to come back. It's reciprocal. So stop using your circumstances as an excuse as to why you can't be here. We all have reasons. I don't even call them excuses. There's reasons why you can't. But that's the exact reason why you need to be here. So Brandon, any last words? You owe you. Be in the summit.
Man, I don't want to follow that up. That's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure, man. I'll just say this: don't listen, but not apply. Right? I got a shirt on that says "Extreme Execution." At the end of the day, the execution is all that matters. And so, if you're watching a podcast like this, like these guys right here, they're not going to lead you astray. I promise you, they're not going to lead you astray. But listen, not for the sake of listening. Listen for the sake of taking action.
There it is, y'all. There it is. And with that, signing out live and direct from Cancun, Mexico, Brandon B-Dub Burns. And as we would say at the end of the podcast, don't just go with us, grow with us. All right, y'all. Peace. Man. Right
Good stuff, sir.
Yeah, no,
Good
thank
stuff.
you.